Welcome to another edition of Off the Clock, the Healthcare Entrepreneurs Podcast. As always, guys, I'm your co-host, Mr. Karl Jr., and I'm joined by my main man, Mr. Paul Ching. Paul, say what's up to the people.
Salutations to everybody. So glad to be here.
You're just getting shorter and shorter on the intro, man.
That's it. I'm just trying to be short with y'all since people have problems. It's our podcast. We do what we want, but hey, we got to listen to the people when they see. Now I'm doing it.
Yes, you are.
By becoming upset, I'm now doing the very thing they told me to not do. So, whatever.
I'm going to listen to your listeners.
Right. All right. So, as always, guys, you know we like to bring y'all special guests. This week, again, is no exception. We are joined by Dr. Remi O. Doc, talk to us. How you feeling? Thank you so much for joining us. What's going on?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, y'all. I'm just here living on the streets. Working every day. That's it. That's about it.
The American dream.
Hear that? Somebody's going to hear that. They're going to be like, the streets. What's going on?
It's not that kind of podcast, guys.
What's happening on this episode today? Man, look, we're having fun. We're having fun, y'all.
It's all about fun. No, but seriously, just got back from work actually. Took the dogs out, so that's why you heard them all riled up earlier. But I'm good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. So we like to be respectful of our guest time. So let's just dive right into it. First thing we always like to ask is why. So why PT? Why not something else?
It's funny you actually asked that. So I come from a Nigerian background, and we all know the three things that you need to go into. Engineering, doctor, lawyer. So went down the line of doctors and decided PT was the best fit for my personality. My older sister's a medical doctor. My other sister is a pharmacist. My brother, pseudo black sheep because he went into community psychology, but he does have his PhD. And I decided to do the physical therapy. So I have a doctorate in physical therapy.
Oh, I was just going to say, so y'all got a whole family of just success on success. On success, on success. It's crazy.
We're not even 5 minutes in and she's already flexing on us.
I didn't even flex. That's just
it was
how the family rolled.
You know what she said though?
Just
She
a
said,
little bit.
Look, here's the thing though. It's just a family full of doctors. That's
Right.
That's what we're doing. That's literally what we're doing. It is what it is. We don't take that personally. Actually, let me ask you a question. This is going to be a little different from how we usually start the podcast. So for our listeners, forgive me. But actually, before you even go into why PT, I need to ask you, just growing up in that kind of household, because I'm very familiar to it, and I know some of those expectations that we have, and maybe they're not even communicated for different things. So. What was it like kind of growing up knowing that expectation that was placed on you and then the expectation you placed on yourself? How did it play into you even choosing PT?
I must get it done, basically. The environment was fine because I guess it wasn't difficult to get through school. That really wasn't the issue. Nobody had to bang anybody upside the head about, all right, how do your grades look? That just wasn't it. Learning was pretty much joyful, knowledgeable. Knowledge got us to get out and do stuff. We were still poor back in the day. So reading books, learning about different, scientific methods and stuff like that just got us out the house and able to explore in our own way, without having to use as much money because everybody's looking for a summer camp at the end of the day. Because if you're not in a summer camp, you in the house cleaning. And nah, I don't want to do that. So get out there and read and play some sports if you can get away with it. But other than that, just get into the books because it's a way to get away. But how did it play into me getting the PT? Like I said, PT fit me just because of what it all entails. Community building, even if it's just like individual community building. How I run my clinic is more community building as far as like everybody comes in. Hey, this is y'all's place as well. I'm just here to direct and make better music by composing which movements that you should move into, manually or verbally, and then it just works. So that's the T with that.
So I want to go ahead and let's hop right into this because I mean you got the shirt on, so I gotta ask. NABPT, talk to us about that because that's this is a new organization. Yeah, like it is pretty recent that it was founded and everything. So talk to us about how you got involved in that and what was that experience like, you know, helping build that.
It was hard. That's number one. But no, it actually started a while ago. 2013, I graduated from school. I was with a classmate of mine, which we both co-founded the association, Deandria Bullock. She and I just had a conversation. We were like, all right, you know we need to get into our career, but at the end of the day, we know when we looked around in our classroom and saw those 10 individuals, because there was 10 of us that were Black descent, African diaspora descent, we were like, we all looked at each other like they might have made a mistake. Because we were at a PWI and that's not known to have such a high class of Black people in a 60, was it like 63, 65 of us in one class. So it's kind of, to us, it was unheard of. Especially after the years after that, it was less than 5, came down to one Black person in each class. So for the most part, we wanted to gather an organization that looked at the whole person holistically as a Black person, what it means to be Black in the world, honestly, because we can't just say the U.S. We have to say the world. And what does that mean? Meaning either mentally, physically, financially, career-driven. Where do you want to go? Investments. How do we want to navigate that in the Black community? Because us being, I guess, perceived as better educated. In quotations, I am putting that up, by the way, you all, if you can't see me. How can we help our community out? So that's how we ran with it. So both of us co-founded. I'm the sitting president now. She's the VP, and like I said, it's a non-profit organization. We're just looking to help in any way we can.
Let me follow that up by asking, so like even with the representation that comes from it, right? What would you say has been the most challenging? And this is not like one of those cliche, like what's the hardest thing? No, like what's been the most challenging part of having to show up on a consistent basis in spite of like any adversity you might face?
Right now, I would say specifically right now, no, we have to show up in ways when clear we're all going through healing from what's going on in the world, what we're seeing on an everyday basis. I think it's heightened now because of COVID. Because we all know this happens on a every week, everyday basis, and we live it. But now we're being asked about it from our oppressors. So it's become a little bit problematic in trying to navigate um, pushing through, but making sure we show up for our members, making sure we show up for our partners if we have them, making sure should we show up for ourselves, and showing up for ourselves doesn't mean we're out publicizing stuff like that. It's checking in with ourselves mentally and making sure we're okay to go about our day, and doing whatever that entails, or whatever that means to have that moment to basically walk in peace through the storm.
I think that it's so critical to be able to have the ability to have that honest dialect with yourself, to realize you can't pour from an empty cup. And so y'all are able to kind of take a step back, especially when things are going on like they have been going on as of recently. And as you said, for us, it's like it's just another day in the neighborhood, but because of us being quarantined and not having the freedoms that we once had, it is more heightened, because it's in your face when you can't go anywhere but see the TV and be on social media. You can't ignore it. I mean, you can, because people have ignored it for years on years on years. But I think that it's so important that you were able to, as a leader, take a step back and say, okay, I have to take care of me as well. And so I want to ask you, from a standpoint of being the head of this organization, and having to worry about not only yourself, but having to worry about your members and having to worry about your colleagues. What are the ways that you help yourself stay centered? And when you're feeling depleted, how do you kind of find that energy source to get you what you need to push through?
Well, let me answer this one first. To stay centered, I know the root of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that in itself is moving enough for me. And when I do get depleted, that's very few and far between. Let me say that. When I do get depleted, it's not days on end that I need. Honestly, it's just a night where, if I allow myself to, I put my phone away. Or and really it's if I allow myself to, or my partner has to take my phone. Hopefully there's no service, because I have too many gadgets that plugs me back in. But for the most part, it's just to unplug. And I work in ways of either, all right, if I get to this month and we've accomplished this, all right, take a day. I have a fight camp thing, no plug for fight camp, but it's like Peloton for boxing. I just go in on that real quick, and all right, I'm back in the game. So I put myself back in the game and keep going, basically.
So moving into a little bit more of NABPT, and just for, I don't know if we did say it out loud, but just for our listeners who may not know what that is, that's National Association of Black Physical Therapists. And I think that there are a lot of people who, just like in terms of entrepreneurship and just in terms of wanting to build something, they think a lot about what it could look like. Like, this is what it could look like if I decided to start this organization. This is what it could be if I decided to pursue starting a nonprofit. But I think a lot of times people don't execute because they don't have the right steps, they don't have the right people in their corner. So kind of talk to us a little bit about how, in the process of being able to form this, you were able to make sure you had the right counsel around you, and also talk about how not only having that counsel helped you with forming it, but it helped you with being able to keep your ego in check as well, so that you all could work towards that one collective goal.
Okay. Well, for one, I have a great support system. And even going through this building process, I've had the pleasure of knowing, like, as far as my attorney that does like the background work and whatnot, we've known each other since ninth grade. He was like, you're doing something? I'm like, yeah. Can you help me out? Yeah. All right. let's talk it out. And then I feel like, for one, I am blessed in many, many ways, and blessed in having the community that I have is honestly the only way I was able to do this. The resources that I have is the only way I was able to get this done, for the most part, without having to put up too much money. because the schools that most of these people have gone to, and I can see the attorney bills like just piling up. Like, that's more than my school's worth right now. So I'm how much they've helped me for the most part. So definitely have to shout out to he's like my brother, Christopher Cottrell, a Penn grad. And then also my dearest football friend, one of my dearest football friends, Ajua, also a Yale grad. So I'm like, all right, thank you. I appreciate your extra time, because you're not doing this through any billing services. And absolutely, my co-founders has held me down for however long we've had these ideas, because I'll go with ideas, say, all right, why don't we do this? Let's do this. And she's the one that says, okay, hold on. Let's organize your thoughts. And I think we should start this way, so we won't step over anybody's toes. Let's approach these people so we won't, go into any crossfire. And so that's been helpful, because I'm one of those, all right, let's be a radical person. Let's get this out, because I feel it's needed. And it's needed in a different way of touching the masses. No bureaucracy. Let's touch everybody.
First of all, shout out to you and your team.
Yeah.
I do 100% agree. For a lot of listeners, if you're listening to this, like, I don't want that point to just pass over. The old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think being able to have that solid, like, squad around you that can keep you, like, I'm just like you. I'm lucky to have Karl, because I'll have like 10,000 ideas at once, and he'll just be like, just look at me like, all right.
I know that look.
And usually, I don't know if I hit something until he's like, "Now that's a money idea." As soon as I hear that, I'm like, "Okay, right on this."
Yes.
No, but I just say that to just be like, just listeners, this is important. You just take note of that and understand that finding that crew, finding that squad that can keep you accountable, that can keep you focused, that can get you to do the things. And then also, I love that you mentioned, like, in your circle, you have people that can do specific things, right? I think a lot of people make the mistake of trying to just replicate themselves 5 times and then just be like, that's my crew. Well, guess what? Actually, I read it in this book, 12 Months to a Millionaire by whatever his face is. And he actually says something important. He's like, when you have a team, you have a partnership. He said, if you have 2 people that bring the exact same characteristics to your business, to your organization, then one of you guys is useless.
Yeah.
Right? And, I read that and I was just like, that's real. So just hearing how you got the different people from different places that bring the different things, and y'all just mold and grow, man, that's powerful. Just because I'm pretty sure a few of our listeners are, including me, are curious, what a day in the life of Dr. Remi O. I say the whole thing every time.
You got to say the whole thing every time, right?
Every single time I got to say the whole thing. What a day in the life of Dr. Remi O, including PT and doing the NABPT. What that looks like. Just kind of run us through, just so it can
run you through a whole day. Usually wake up probably 5-ish. Either I exercise or just decompress by myself. I have to take the dogs out. 2 little dogs. They remind me I have to get up actually on a daily basis at 5 o'clock. Then after that, at least for 30, 40 minutes, just sitting around doing nothing. Having my talks with myself. If there are days that I'm not doing training on the side, because I do a lot of things on the side as well. So I just picked up doing like personal training for people that have had injuries. So if I'm doing that, it's a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm training to 7 and then going to work. But if I'm not, it's 5 o'clock, 5:30, 5:40. Either exercise 5:30, 5:40. After that, it's hit the phone, check all the messages. Check messages from either the Texas board, our board, the Georgia board, anything I have access to, I'm checking. Then it goes to work emails. I'll do my work emails, set up my day as far as like seeing my patients, how I'm going to navigate that. In between that, when there's like transfer trainings, I'm also doing social media. Hit up my social media crew, which I have a big list of social media people. But 2 main ones, and I have to shout them out too, because I don't do flyers. I don't do flyers. I hardly do captions. I tell them, all right, this is what I'm seeing in my head. Put it down, and they always show up. So big shout out to Brianna, but she's a student, a PT student. And then another one, Dr. Rihanna Green. She's in DC, working her tail off as usual, doing the most, and affecting that community in DC. So that's great. But then from there, we put it into the social media group, and then from there, I just see it go all over the place, and I monitor that and see if we're reaching the crowd, the audience that we want to reach. Responding to any of the people. I already have mentees, a whole crew of mentees, and I make sure I check in with. But I make sure I'm available for the most part in a lot of ways. Make sure I'm available for the masses to be able to get to me, ask those questions. And then when I get home, it's turn off time, hopefully, to try. That's many of conversations with partners saying, can you please just pay attention? I don't feel like asking you questions, the same question over and over again. So try to avoid that on a daily basis. And then just chill out and sleep. Chill out and sleep. Do it again. Press repeat.
What would you say has because that schedule is phenomenal, by the way. I like the way you actually said something that I've been trying to implement into my day. Because it used to be the whole, wake up, pick up the phone, all this. And, part of it, I was just like, well, Paul, you got to open the phone and do your little devotion. How was you going to do it? You going to just think about it? So I was like, whatever. And then I'd notice as soon as I did it, like, boom, next, Instagram, checking the Instagram, checking the Facebook, checking emails. And so I love that you mentioned, like, you wake up, you exercise, and you actually sit. Right. And it's that moment of silence, man, that I think a lot of people are missing, because once your day gets started, And
Yes.
it happens from the moment you leave that front door. Correction. Anything can happen from the moment you pick up your phone.
Yes, exactly. The phone.
The phone. And I just love the fact that you intentionally spend some time with you before you give to everybody else. I think that speaks to, and you can go ahead, right in.
Right. So the practice of that, I observe Ramadan. I'm not a Muslim, but I definitely observe it because I believe in the discipline of, and we just came off it from,
Right.
April to May.
Yeah.
So I observe it because of the discipline that when before the sun comes up, have that time to be at peace. They pray, but like I said, I'm just observing. So I take that time to meditate. It's taken me some time to actually get into a habit. So I've been doing it for 3 years. My father was a Muslim, but he was converted when he came over to the States. But I take that as a piece of me understanding where I've come from, where my parent has come from. But then also take that discipline that they have for meditation and praying to Allah and going that direction to make sure I'm at peace with myself too when I go through the day. So, yeah.
So, first off, no, that really is amazing, because I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with. I mean, myself included. I feel like there was a huge point in my life where it literally wake up, all right, where's my phone? Like that's the first thing that I'm looking for. And I've had to become more mindful of putting my phone somewhere that it's not easily accessible, or not running to get my phone the first thing as soon as I wake up, and spending some time, just meditating, praying, talking to God, getting myself right before I get ready to start the day. And me and Paul we had a guest quite a couple episodes ago, and he talked about the notion of being able to wake up in the morning and realize that you have to equip yourself for the day, because every day is a battle. And I think that interaction that we had with him kind of changed the way I viewed how I woke up in the morning, because it was no longer like me getting up and making excuses as to why I need to go on Twitter or why I need to go on Instagram, whatever the case may be, first, and why it's more important in the long run and for my day if I started my day in a way that prepared me to overcome whatever mental obstacle, whatever turmoil could come my way throughout the day. So I think it's always amazing, and I'll speak for myself because I don't want to speak for Paul, but it's always amazing on the podcast when we're able to connect with people and you see things come full circle. you see success leaves clues. And when you have multiple people who are successful and who are doing amazing things tell you, in the morning, I spend time meditating, or in the morning, I spend time praying, or in the morning, I don't do anything. I spend time with myself, and that's my time to think. That's my time to reflect. It makes you realize how you start your day is everything. And so I think that was one of those gems in this episode that I hope a lot of our listeners realize, is that you have to be able to start your day in a way that sets you up for success. So I'm just so grateful that you said that, because it's like it's coming full circle, you know. So my next question I have for you is, in terms of the organization, in terms of building that, and just like in terms of the future, what is it that you envision it will look like in the next 5 to 10 years? Like what is that goal that you're working towards in terms of the organization?
Well, definitely for one is being out more in the community as far as like movement, exercise, mitigating pain through PT, and focus, of course, because it's National Associated Black Physical Therapy in the Black community. Now is in the way I'm saying, as far as making sure that you produce more of us, more PTs that are Black, that are going back to their community, you know, because we're all rooted in a Black community per se, right? And in that, we can navigate through making sure, hey, we know what PT is. First of all, we know what the profession is. Second of all, and if we know what the profession is, that means more people will understand, like, hey, this is an option for school, right? It's a career that is definitely that I want to help people thing. You actually really help people. You actually really help people, and not to take away from any health career, but it's one of the careers that definitely you have a longer lasting relationship with people, because you become intimate in the sense of knowing kind of what their day to day process is, understanding like the nuances of even just, you know, going out and playing a sport, or what happens when a caregiver is not able to do, you know, a certain task for the client patient. So I imagine, circle back, is improving healthcare in our community, whether it being the knowledge and having more advocates for clients and patients to understand the healthcare system, because we do have to sit down a longer time for people and explain, why are you paying this copay, or or why this is a relevant thing, even though you feel like you do this on a daily basis. Well, yes, but trying to correct how you do this on a daily basis, and then improving, of course, how our boards look, how APTA looks as a governing body, making sure our voices are heard in that way, making sure we're getting back into academia, because I know that's something that we're not really in. So making sure we're represented in academia as well, to again make sure there's retention of, you know, Black and brown faces. So that's where I see it.
Now, I'm sure that with forming the organization, you know, there's always highs, and of course, if there's highs, there has to be lows.
Right.
So just in terms of forming the organization and, you know, laying the groundwork and everything for it, what do you think was the hardest pill you had to swallow? And what would you say was the biggest barrier you had to overcome in order to make sure that the organization could be founded?
That people saw the mission. Yeah, people saw the mission, understood the mission. If people don't understand or have the buy-in, it doesn't go anywhere. You know, so that, for the most part, especially not necessarily knowing what we're doing at the beginning, but telling all these people, hey, we have this great idea, this great organization that will help the masses of the community. Yeah, that was hard. That was hard, but we able to continue to forge in that team. That we have an executive board that believes in it and has a buy-in to develop where we are. And it's ongoing, but you got to keep going, right? So you got to make sure the buy-in is continuous, right? So as far as my co-founder and I, we're kind of like coaches, like going back to the drawing board. All right, these are the players that we have in play. Let's see if we can make sure we're making them reach their full potential of what the mission is, and making sure they're not working too hard, because we don't want that. You know, we don't want you to go above and beyond. That's what we're here for. That's what we've decided full-heartedly. That's what we're going to do as far as being co-founders. And of course, between the two of us as well, we're like, you need a day off, you need a week off. All right, I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up for you, and vice versa. So, yeah, the Lowe's is making sure that everybody is on board, sees the mission, and making sure my co-founder, I make sure the players are playing in the right position and at the right time.
Man, leadership. Leadership is a trip. Can I ask, as a leader, when you find yourself in a position where you might even feel like you know best in a situation, but I don't know, so you do this, but you maybe also use it, because I know there's a few people who, like, they know the answer, but if they're a leader, they sometimes want the people that are working with them to, like, arrive at the conclusion on their own. So how do you deal with kind of having other people also feel like you're not micromanaging them, and allow them to grow while still, kind of not being like a helicopter leader?
I don't think I could be that if I wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I could be that if I wanted to, because I just have a laid back approach about it, and ask questions of the people that are looking to me to lead, because I want them to emerge as leaders as well, right? I don't mind following, and you have an idea, let's roll with it. And this is, as long as it's aligning with what we're trying to get accomplished, let's do it. I've found myself to be that person a lot, even through sports, even growing up. You just sit back. I might be a captain, but if I'm not able to be, again, in the right position at the right time, then if you are able to, let's get it done. Let's get it done. So I can't find myself to be a micromanager. I just don't. One, I don't have the time to.
So how do you help somebody grow then, right? Because when I look at leadership, I look at, like, either somebody has to evolve into, like, the world's greatest coach really fast, or you have to set, like, specific, we call them standards, goals, expectations, whatever.
Right.
So how do you help people grow as they're working with you in your organization?
Conversations. Lots of conversations. A lot of thinking pieces. And I think for the most part, in the environment that I grew up in, is how I've grown to be where I am. And there are just a whole bunch of smart people and reading a whole bunch of different things. And it's like you gotta be thinking all the time. So I have a situation for a lot of things, that could go much differently than the other person can feel like they're in the situation that they're in, right? And a lot of times just sit down and observe, and you can say one thing that can change their whole perspective about how they're approaching something. Even challenging people to read a book or a certain passage, and we'll talk about it, and how I develop my thought process of, the comprehending what the passage is to their comprehension. That changes things. That's a different think piece. So really it's just thinking. You really just want to get people to start thinking in many different ways. All right. And eventually they'll find their way into, oh, okay, I can do this too. That confidence. I can do this too. You just need people to believe that they can do something. That's why leaders sometimes, if they haven't been chosen as a leader, a lot of times it's just because they don't think they can do it. And then sometimes it's not meant for them either,
So I want to ask, and this will be my last question, but if you could give any advice to someone who's listening to this and they've heard the concept of, NABPT, they've heard what the organization is, and they have an idea too of something that they want to build, something that they, want to bring into fruition as well, that they've been thinking about for the longest time. What would be the top 3 things that you would tell them in terms of being able to get started and being able to build that brand?
Well, for one, start. Start. But I mean, like you all asked the question, it was like, where do you see it? Where do you see it going? What's the bigger grand scheme of things? If it's a small scheme, then knowingly go into it, knowing it's a small scheme. All right, because success looks different. That's first and foremost. Like, success looks different. How do you perceive the success when you get to that point? All right. And then from there, can you build off of that as far as branding? Can you build to meet the needs of the audience that you're trying to meet? And then 3, don't be scared to go out on a limb. Have fun with the limbs. They're branches. There are branches that are flexible. I'm sure some of us got whipped by those flexible branches. So, pick your best one, right? But then get back to it. Get back to it. There's nothing wrong with it, because I don't think there's failing. There's mistakes. There's missteps. There's bumps in roads. There's different paths. It's not how, depending on what it is, it's not how fast you do it. It's how well you do it.
Paul, you got anything?
Oh, that you caught me. I was writing some notes. She's just been dropping gems, so I'm over here like furious.
We can keep talking. I have time. I put myself to like 8:20, so I'm good.
Okay, I was just here like I need to get it all. I think if I had to ask the last question, it would be this. And I ask this just with the knowledge, one of the things I try to keep in mind continuously, and I know a lot of leaders, do keep it in mind, is just like the future generation, those that are coming after us. To me, I love everything you're doing because, like you said, one, we need to have more Black physical therapists going into communities where they can represent the people they're serving, and more so, I think there's so many kids, right, that might not even know. I didn't even know about PT until I got to college. So just let that sit. 18 whole years before I realized physical therapy was an actual thing. And so I know, like, there's a lot of people that are listening to this. They might know their little brothers and sisters. Shout out to our listeners. Somebody who looks up to you and says, I want to be like her one day. What are you saying to that kid? What are you saying to that aspiring owner? What are you saying to maybe one day, 30, 40, 50 years from now, somebody comes to you and says, I want to be able to carry on the torch of the NABPT? What are you saying to them now to encourage them and then to help them get ready to be in a position such as that?
Well, I understand the global mission of what, for organization wise, what does that mean? And how can you have and not feel that you need to be like me per se, but be like yourself and carrying your way of having autonomy over a global mission, right? Because going back to, the whole leading question is, if, a person doesn't like what they're doing, they're not going to do it. And they're not going to do it well, right? That's first and foremost. Just like if you didn't necessarily like a teacher, you're not necessarily going to listen to that teacher and take it in, all right? Both my parents are teachers, and they already know, like, this kid does not like me. so they gotta find a way, right? But that's the same thing. If you want to get into a position of any leadership position, you got to figure out how you can lead and how you can optimize yourself. And making sure you know your strengths, your weaknesses, and ask for help. Ask for help. Help is fine. Help is great. Help lets you relax in the morning, So just be mindful of all of that. But as far as the organization, it is about the whole person. It's wanting to treat the person holistically, from whatever background you're coming from. We're trying to plug in pieces, strong pieces. The foundations is still building right now. So when you see chapters coming up, it's like, all right, we want that chapter to build. One, we want you to have that network, all right? We want you to have that network to make sure you amplify each other wherever you are. Amplify your voices, even if they are perceived as small. Well, we come in numbers, You're not going into a classroom by yourself if you're a member. You're not going, and even if you're not a member, it doesn't matter. If at the mission, at the end of the day, your mission is to become a PT, a successful Black PT, we have your back. And that's really what NABPT is. And again, it's from financially understanding those student loans, trying to open your own business, navigating your way through. We are in a predominantly Caucasian field, navigating through that, and understanding even why you have to go smile on a daily basis to make sure you have your patients like you, because you're trying to get them to you're trying to lead them into a function. But knowing you have places or people to talk to when everything else is going on in your world too, from your losses to losses that we keep seeing, understanding where your mind is, where your thoughts are, or spiritually where you are. We're trying to encompass all of that. So, yeah.
I mean, mic drop. We don't even need to keep going. That was mic drop mentorship right there. Like that. Now that was that's. I think it's just, for me, it's just amazing because the conversation has been had so many times, you know, amongst other Black peers and classmates about how we're underrepresented, how we are in a field where we don't get the acknowledgement and we don't get the recognition that we should be getting. And so I think that it's incredible what you've built. I think it's incredible what y'all are continuing to do. And I got my membership.
There we
Disclaimer.
go.
Disclaimer, you know. Shameless plug. If you listen to this, go get your membership. $25 right now for students. But I really appreciate it, because it's good knowing that we have somewhere that we can go to if we need that resource. And as you said, there's strength in numbers. And I think that that's why it's so important, especially for this day and age, for us to be able to be in these types of organizations together, and for us to be able to take advantage of it, to network, because you never know how you can help the next person and vice versa. So let me just say that I am grateful to you and for you for creating this, and I'm just looking forward to see what it looks like. I know y'all are just going to keep growing, and it's going to be beautiful to watch, you know. But seriously, thank you for that. Thank you for providing a safe space for us, and also thank you for coming on the podcast, because I mean, you busy, you know, so we appreciate that. It really was a pleasure. So thank you.
No problem. No problem.
So
Yeah.
before we let you go, for anyone who is listening to this for the first time, or being exposed to you for the first time and what NABPT is, what are some ways that they can get in contact with you? What are some social media handles or contact information that you would like to leave with them?
Well, I think Twitter and Instagram, it is NABPT _. Facebook, it's National Association of Black Physical Therapists, spelled out. LinkedIn, same thing. I'll be honest, I don't check that one as much. I don't even think I have my personal ones. So that's all bad. So, but don't do that, listeners. Don't do that. Put yourself on there, put your resume, get it done. Yeah, so that's for the most part. Yeah, NABPT _ Instagram, Twitter. If email, it's info.nabpt@gmail.com. Anything else? No, I think that's about it. Oh, and then the website is www.nabpt.org. We have a lot of people that are behind all of this, so I definitely want to show much appreciation to my board as well. And you've had 2 of them on your show. That's great. As far as Tavana, Amber, Dr. Amber Brown, Have Dr. Kelsey Mims. She's actually my boss at my job. Dr. Michael Robinson, Dr. Sarah Pullen, and some of my background advisories. Catherine Sylvester, Taylor Atkins, Dr. Goins, Crystal Hines, and yeah, that's about it. That's about it. So I appreciate you all, first of all, and what y'all are doing. Editing, not my thing. So kudos to your team that's behind you, and to both of y'all for doing what you all do. And then also thank you for the membership. Your membership means a lot. Financially, it means a lot as well, because you'll definitely see a lot of scholarships that are coming in the next year. They're going to be really big. Shout out to Dr. Hutton for starting us off with a $10,000 donation. So yeah, expect a lot. And for the most part, we're going to hold our peers accountable for what they teach, and try to shift beliefs and make sure it's safer for us in the classroom. They go out into the streets. They are people of the streets. So we're going to try to make sure that they are here to pretty much bear arms with us. Okay.
Perfect. Well, again, we appreciate you. It was a tremendous pleasure. And you always got us in your corner. So just know you always got OTC support. So
don't definitely shout y'all out.
Don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So to our listeners, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. As always, you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be right here listening to us. If you got value out of this episode, subscribe, share, comment, leave us a review. We love hearing from you guys. But until next time, peace and many blessings.